Charles, tonight we ask the all-important question, what about Al-Shabaab? How are you?
I'm great, Jason. Thanks for asking. I hope you're well too.
I'm
Um,
well. Our last several shows have been plagued by technology problems.
yeah, well, I'm sporting a new hat, new custom-made shirt, a new custom-made jacket.
Yeah, I noticed the
So,
jacket. I meant to compliment you on that before we came on here. Very sharp. How's
yeah,
Penang?
I tell you, custom-made, high-quality fabric, and a fraction. I mean, a tiny fraction of an off-the-rack item. And
Unbelievable.
and I go now have this relationship with a guy, and I go there, and I say, what other colors do you think I should get? And he said, well, why don't you try this? Would you like it in 2 days? Okay.
That's
Which is
amazing.
not in the experience. Years ago, when I would buy in London, you had to go for your first trip, I think 3 or 4 times, separate times, and you couldn't, weeks apart. And one suit, modern equivalent, is like 10,000 US.
Whoa,
This is not,
jeez, that's
not,
crazy.
not, not close to that, not even in the thousands. So,
And the quality is
anyway,
on par here?
superb quality. Because
Amazing.
one of the things, I mean, European climate, the fabrics are going to be heavier, and these are, this is a nice, high quality, lightweight fabric, appropriate. People don't wear jackets here, actually, very often, except for ceremonial things.
Pretty
But
casual.
back on your excellent title, movie poster and title, the contrast between the attitude we hear out of the Democrats, people are living paycheck to paycheck. They can't make ends meet. Egg prices are going up. Woe is me. Let's have more socialism because that works so well. And then you hear whether it's the Ukraine fraud, the COVID fraud, um, who knows, the World War II fraud, the New Deal fraud. Every time a bunch of pointy-headed socialists get together and say, we've got a common problem that needs to be financed by your tax dollars and deficit spending, it's a grift mill going into high gear. And this stuff in Minnesota, we ought to take, in the good old days when cruel and unusual punishment were possible, and I'm joking here, the tar and feathering approach for Mr. Waltz, I think, would be appropriate. I mean, he would have to study for 25 lifetimes to be a moron. He's so stupid. And look at what's going on in his state. To allow, let's make it not racist. Okay, let's say that we feel sorry for the Boers, the white Dutch, South African farmers who are now being persecuted in South Africa. And let's say we decided to import 80,000 Boers into upstate New York. And they decided that, because upstate New York is Dutch origin, that they're going to only speak Afrikaans. And they're very accomplished farmers, so they start buying up all the farmland. I don't think we would tolerate a Boer state, a mini state around Albany or between Albany and Poughkeepsie. Um, and I think this idea that 70 to 80,000 thieves, it would seem. Maybe there's one or two honest Somalis that came in under this program, but they're bilking every freaking program that's out there. I mean, these stories are so outrageous. They come up with a state program to fight autism, and instead of using the money for that, they just say, my child's autistic, take the money and buy a Rolex with it, to wear around their necks. I mean, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous what's going on out there in mini Somaliland. And that so many people out of the campi and these tax exempt indoctrination entities that shouldn't be tax exempt, passing as the Ivy League and other places, are standing up for the rights of these immigrants when in fact we don't even know their true identities. It's not like Somalia has a robust internal digital ID program. I mean, we don't know who these people are, and they were never really vetted. And we do know that Ilhan Omar has gotten the benefit of the doubt far beyond what you or I would ever get if we were in a contested situation. I mean, the notion that some interloper is going to come in. I mean, let's say I return to America and get into Congress and demand that I get to wear my country club hats on the floor of Congress when that rule was, no one was allowed to wear a head covering. You know, fuck off with your head covering. Change that rule. This is the Congress of the United States. You either assimilate into this country or you don't. And if you came into this country and married your brother and lied on all that, and who knows, maybe lied on other things, you're a criminal. I don't care whether you're a female, identifying as a bird, black, Hispanic, or whatever else. You're a fucking stone cold criminal who has been not trying to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and you've gotten a pass for far too long, you and all of your co-conspirators. So I'm delighted that Tom Homan, who's, they say that Doge kid is big balls. This is gigantic balls, Tom Homan, saying, all right, you guys in Minnesota don't want to cooperate with ICE. We're going to set up a strike force and go real hard after you. I'm all for that. The people of Minnesota have lost their freaking minds tolerating this. And if it is true that money has been stolen from various federal, state, and local aid programs to finance Al-Shabaab, I want to see the people who did that sent, to Eswatini or worse, maybe Christmas Island in the middle of nowhere.
Isn't Eswatini an upgrade from Somalia?
I don't know. I mean, Somalia is long. The problem with Somalia, and I've only flown over it, I've never stopped inside Somalia, but I've been in northern Kenya. The climate is really desolate. And the tradition, the way people who, quote, live there live is by clan association. So it's not, there's no idea that there's a true, the country of Somalia. I mean, it's this clan, it's that clan. And it's, millennia of clan A enslaving clan B and stealing all their assets and women and whatever. That's what it's like over there.
Remember that campfire, that summer camp song, this land is your land, this land is our land. They could have this clan is your clan. Now, just to do a quick comparison here, Charles, we've got a little AI survey of Eswatini versus Somalia. We could really evaluate the two.
Yeah, this is a good vignette to tell. Back in Harvard Business School days, what you had to do, I was living next door to these second-year students. And in your second year, of course, the business of Harvard Business School is getting you a job or getting trained to get a management job. So you have to take this survey. And, they answer questions, and it's some, back then in theory, scientific survey, matching your skills with jobs. And this guy is really excited, fills the survey out. They come back and they tell him, well, we think you should be an undertaker.
Wow.
That's a downer.
Yeah.
Anyway, what he did instead is he became a used car salesman, and General Motors promptly went bankrupt. I don't know whatever happened to the guy, but he was a sad sack.
Well, Charles, just to lighten the mood a bit, it looks like Eswatini is doing better, although the corruption percentage in Eswatini is 30%. I mean, that's maybe not that bad. If you put America on this chart, it would be like 90%. But your life expectancy in Eswatini is far higher. Infant mortality rate far lower. GDP per capita is $11,322. Somalia, it's only $1,500.
Okay, where's the worst country? Ask Grok, where's the worst country on earth?
Let's see what it says. It's like, New York City.
Canada.
Worst country in the world. It's probably gonna be like, well, determining the worst country is subjective as different people prioritize different factors such as safety, economic. But it looks like Afghanistan, South Sudan, Yemen, and Syria are sort of the worst.
What did you say, South Sudan?
Afghanistan, South Sudan, Yemen, and Syria.
Actually, what about Haiti?
Not listed here.
Send her to Haiti.
Central African Republic, Chad, Niger, Yemen, Somalia is here for fragile states index. Wow.
I mean, the idea that every person on earth has a right to come into the United States or a richer country and live off the state and bring your clan in and start getting involved in rampant, persistent criminality, fuck all that. Try doing that in Mexico. I mean, it's not easy to emigrate to Mexico, for example. Remember what happened to that guy who went the wrong way with a gun in his, some, I think, army dude or
in his
whatever
car.
military guy had.
Yeah.
He made a wrong turn in San Diego and ended up in whatever that place is next to San Diego. And it took him a couple of years to get out of Mexico.
Not good.
Yeah. And so we're just, we should tolerate this bullshit. And we should tolerate these, I've been watching some of these videos of the lawfare groups that are, getting around the ICE parking lots and making it possible for the ICE vehicles to leave and do their job. I'm sorry. I would be much tougher on the NGOs that are, that is not legitimate stuff. Advancing, if you go into the theory behind why these institutions are tax exempt, advancing the interests of illegal aliens in the United States of America is not a legitimate tax exempt purpose. It just isn't. And there have been cases on this. There was a mafia affiliated group that that was basically funneling some of the illegal profits from their activities into ostensibly charitable community activities, and it was held that is not, promoting illegal activities in the guise of charity is not charity. And all these people, Gavin Newsom, the fake Indian Elizabeth Warren, all the predictable morons who try to get the kids who've been brainwashed through what passes for our educational system to go out and riot over this. This is not even a 20% issue. You're in the United States of America illegally. We've had the one shooting. There was a bomb plot was just stopped by another Afghani. Joe Biden gets to pretend he's a sentient being while Hunter's doing crack and cocaine in the White House and who knows what else, stealing money right and left. There has to be an accountability here. This is not the way the people who pay the taxes in America live their lives. To see these buffoons in Washington, D.C. and other state capitals living large off their grift and corruption around the world is infuriating. And there must be an accounting. And
Charles,
in related news.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No,
well,
go ahead.
Speaking of the Afghani guy, he pled not guilty, as I'm sure you're aware. Pretty ridiculous. I don't know what's going on with this guy.
Yeah. And, in related news, we've talked about it, but on the show, we haven't done it justice yet. This idea, I've been through divorce. You've been through a divorce or two. People who've been through divorces understand that to go from, the days when you're madly in love with somebody, and now you've got kids and you've got to break up because they're irreconcilable differences. Looking at what's going on in Europe right now, these people who are lecturing us about, they don't feel that they're involved enough in the negotiations to end the mess in Ukraine. They're going and they're setting up the equivalent of the Disinformation Governance Board, but with teeth across Europe and in the UK. When I see this kind of stuff, I cannot support continuing an alliance with a country that is going to put mothers and fathers and visitors in jail, not even with a jury trial that's proposed in the UK now, over an expression on social media. I mean, that is, I'm sorry, you want to go down that track? We did not liberate Europe in World War II to find ourselves, whatever it is, 70 years later, supporting repressive, totalitarian, corruption-riddled regimes led by buffoons. I would be much tougher on Europe than Trump is being tough right now. What's going on, for example, Marine Le Pen is not being allowed to run in the French elections. The AfD, which apparently is, by some measure, the most popular party in Germany, it's being persecuted by the government, and all kinds of dirty tricks are being played on that. The EU is hopelessly corrupt. There's never been a real accounting for where all this money has gone. all you see is the various ministers living large all over the place, going on fancy junkets. I mean, this is not something that the good people of the United States of America want to support anymore, in my view. And it ought to be put to a test. You know, the midterm elections should be about this. The 2028 elections should be about this. And before then, Trump and his team need to make it very clear to our oldest and most liable ally, the UK, enough of this bullshit. You cannot have a system, which they do have now, where the mother gets jailed for a tweet that some idiot finds offensive, and then the mother's in jail. The daughter is trying to go through her school, and at age 13, some headmistress decides we don't want this 13-year-old girl in the school because her mother's, quote, a racist. As at the same time, some person of color, who's I think a council member, a local council member, goes to a public rally and says that the people who oppose illegal immigration should have their heads cut off, and nothing happens to that guy. I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous. And frankly, I love the UK, but until this changes, I don't want to go back.
Yeah, definitely
I just
not.
do not want to.
They're warning people that you could get arrested. And then I think maybe we looked at this already, but wasn't the reprehensible Nina Jankowicz doing something in the UK? Here's hundreds of English language websites linked to pro-Kremlin propaganda, and a think tank says that the internet is flooded with disinformation by Russian-aligned Pravda network. Many treat websites as credible.
Again, as somebody who has appeared on many webcasts and podcasts and interviews around the world, I view that as a chance for me to express my opinion, which I have the right to do in the United States of America. I wouldn't go on an offensive site, and express my opinion, but people are entitled to have differing points of view. It's not like, the Russian side has no right to differ with these European pointy-headed intellectuals on some point. I mean, Russia's heading in a sensible direction with its own country and people. Germany is performing assisted suicide on itself, destroying its energy industry.
Did you see this? Nina gave oral evidence to the UK here. November 18th, disinformation diplomacy, how malign actors are seeking to undermine democracy. Oral evidence. This was Nina.
Again, she's entitled to her opinion, and I'm entitled to call her a fool. She's
entitled to give oral. It's fine.
She not joining you in that.
This was a well-attended meeting. This was a well-attended meeting. Yeah. Here it is.
But anyway,
yes.
the principle here. This is anybody who would go down a track of saying that we need a hall monitor to tell the public what you can consider and what you can't consider, ignores what happened during the Dark Ages in Europe, when the Catholic Church controlled what people could see. We do not want that. Maybe Europe wants it again. Let's go back to the Dark Ages, but I don't want that. And back in the Dark Ages, it was tough. There was no printing presses, right? So you want to get a book, it's not so easy. Now, I haven't really talked to the crowd about this much, but I'm using AI as a tool to check extensive records that I have on certain matters, and it's an amazing tool if you have the ability to stand up to it. It is a crutch that you should check. You should never just say AI says this and therefore it's right. You got to push and push and push. And what they can do, which most of us cannot do, whoever's the AI who's ever behind this, is that every day, every instant, there are more and more sources that are out there that you can use to cross-check. Unfortunately, because of the prior way scholarship was done, there's a lot of bad information out there, a lot of peer-reviewed garbage in academic journals. And there can be a very productive process now where AI and others are used to go back over this ground and say, hang on, forget about disinformation. Let's focus on crap that is, settled science, that is just rubbish. And let's go back and correct all these papers.
That's a brilliant idea for a new show. Let's focus on crap. That could be the title of the show. Actually, the true purpose of AI, of course, is to make Christmas specials about George's brother, where he's madly typing away. Now, Charles, we have just a few more minutes before we make our way over to the. Before we make our way over to the First Amendment Forum, but there's still so much for us to discuss. AI is fantastic for all kinds of things.
What I wanted to do is just a brief shout out to my excellent bookbinder who brought his family to see me yesterday and brought me a whole bunch of new books. And I teased out of him, he has been awarded by the Malaysian government. He's the best bookbinder in Malaysia and a national treasure. I mean, the guy is amazing what he does with the various and sundry books. And one of the projects I was working on, I have an ancestor who had the first major private library in Virginia, and I guess I have that in my blood, that I just love books. And what this guy has done, it's called the House of Bookbindery, and it's in Borneo, which is pretty far away from where you are, and even a little bit far away from where I am, in a town called Kuching. And if people can, it's not so easy to get. I mean, it's easy to get in touch with him, but it's quite a visit to go see him. And I'm just delighted that I have this relationship with him. Yeah.
So he comes from Borneo to see you?
Yeah, it's 3 hours from here. 3 hours from here by air.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at all those books.
Yeah, that's my library right there. Those are my books.
Wow. That's great that he's
clock.
using you as a...
Yeah.
Now look at that. At the private library elsewhere. Well, I forgot to mention that you are back in the residential library. Actually, Charles, I had a request from some of the sponsors of the show. People wanted to see some of the fine objects d'art that are clearly visible around the residential library and your very impressive home there. So perhaps when people join us in just 2 or 3 minutes from now on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com and subscribestar.com and patreon.com, if you'd like, take a little walk around and show off some of these amazing, artisanally bound books and other antiquities that you have there around the place.
Well, actually, it's a good time to do it because I'm set up to throw a Christmas party on the 7th, and I've got people coming after the show to hang up a bunch of pictures that you're going to see all over the place. But delighted to do that in the next segment.
Nice. So, I don't disagree with anything that you've said during this segment. My only problem is Trump is saying all kinds of stuff. Why the hell isn't he doing anything? Kash Patel was talking to Laura Ingraham yesterday, razzing Eric Swalwell, saying he's going to send him a women's medium FBI jacket so he and Fang Fang can match. It's like, wait a minute, why don't you just prosecute the guy for espionage rather than burning him? This isn't a podcast. You run the damn FBI. What the hell's the matter with you, Kash Patel?
Exactly. Well, I think the answer to the question is that, unfortunately, going back, let's start with Clinton. When Bill Clinton entered the White House, that was 33 years ago. And, so he's had a long time, he and others have had a long time to infiltrate the vast bureaucracy in the FBI and the Department of Justice, the IRS, and elsewhere, so that, Cash can huff and puff and Bongino can do the same. But when you leave a meeting, where you've decided to do something, the people who implement that decision are all corrupt. And many of them take the view, I have some friends who've told me this, that the people who are out front and visible in the politically appointed jobs, they don't control the bureaucracy.
Yeah.
If the bureaucracy what they'll do, it'd be like the TV show, Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister, set in England. They'll sit there and nod their heads, oh yeah, I'll do that, and then they'll give instructions to the team to, go to a conference in Eswatini and come back in 2032.
go receive oral from Nina. But Charles, we'll be back in just 5 minutes. People can stay with us, and we'll be back in the First Amendment Forum. Thanks for tuning in.